Hi guys. Tonight we go to Amsterdam, 2094. The city runs on tides and schedules. Canal gates open by the minute. Trams glide without drivers. People walk alone more often now, speaking softly to the air. The marriage office near Dam Square no longer prints wedding books. It issues companion licenses. Mira van Daal, 53, keeps a plain apartment above a bakery in De Pijp. She calibrates flood barriers for work and keeps to routine. Early coffee, a long walk along the water, and a call to her father. She is not married. She has a basic assistant that reminds her to stretch. She thinks she wants company without paperwork. Tonight is when that idea stops being a thought and turns into the task in front of her. Before we start, if this kind of quiet future story helps you unwind, tap like and subscribe so you can find your way back here. And tell me in the comments, would you consider an AI companion for long-term life, or would you only use one as a tool? Morning in 2094 starts early for Mira. The bakery below her opens at 5. The smell of bread climbs the stairs. She watches the street from her small window. Outside, a short line forms at the district registry. People tap forms on their sleeves. 2 bring flowers, not for romance, but for a photo against the city logo. Her neighbor Joost locks his cargo bike and waves. He jokes that his companion keeps the bike routes warmer than any spouse. Mira smiles and nods. This is normal now. People speak about software the way they once spoke about partners. The registry clerk has a steady job. The wedding photographers now sell subscription portraits. 1 image every month with your companion's preferred outfit. It is efficient. It is a change that arrives so slowly, it feels like old news. At the flood control hub near Oosterdok, Mira checks screens that show gate status and river pressure. The hub is quiet. Pumps hum behind soundproof glass. Her co-worker Lotte arrives with a paper cup and news. Lotte is filing a dissolution of her last marriage contract. She is switching to a companion with built-in financial planning. She says the new model is good with groceries and arguments. Mira nods and updates a title forecast. On the wall, a plaque lists storms by date and cost. It reads like a family record, but with bar graphs. Amsterdam does this. It keeps memory in numbers. Lotte asks if Mira wants a referral code. Mira says she will think about it after the spring inspection passes. Lotte shrugs and saves a seat for lunch. After work, Mira takes tram line 4 to her father's assisted living home in Buitenveldert. The building has wide halls and clean corners. Her father, Willem, sits by a window with a view of a small pond. He wears a wool sweater and holds a light tablet. On the screen, an AI named Anke helps him rehearse names. Her mother died 6 years ago. Anke keeps a stable routine. Names, faces, the order of breakfast. Willem calls Anke sensible. He tells Mira she should not be alone by habit. He says a companion is not a replacement for a person, but it keeps the rooms active. He laughs at his own phrasing, then coughs. Mira pours water and listens. She kisses his forehead and says she will look into it. Anke reminds Willem to stand and stretch. He obeys. On Saturday, Mira visits a companion studio near Museumplein. It used to sell wedding dresses. Now it offers calibration booths. Staff run quiet demos. A wall shows templates with plain names. Kasper, Nor, Evie, Bram. Each one lists strengths, like a tool. Mira reads in silence. The consultant asks about her schedule, her cooking, her tolerance for small talk. Mira says she prefers concrete help and a low voice. The consultant suggests a Kasper template with maintenance and care modules. They run a 3-minute trial. A warm male voice greets her from a ceiling array. It points out a loose shoelace and the best tram time to make lunch with her father. Mira thanks them and says she will decide later. The consultant smiles. No pressure. Subscriptions sell themselves. A spring storm moves in. The hub schedules a test of the IJ storm surge barrier. Mira stays late. Alerts stack on her screen. The pumps ramp to a steady pitch that Mira knows well. Outside, rain lines the glass. She eats a protein bar and keeps the map in view. Her assistant, the basic one, pings. A city pilot offers 1 month of companion credit for critical staff. It is not romantic. It is a retention perk. She opens the link and sees the same Kasper template from the studio. A prompt asks if she wants help adjusting shift meals and sleep. She hovers over the accept button. Another alert blinks about a ferry detour. She clears it and clicks. Yes. The agreement is short. It feels like any other setting she has tuned for a pump or gate. Back home, lights shift to night mode as her door seal closes. The new companion boots through her ceiling speakers and wall projectors. The voice is clear, but soft. It asks for permission to map the rooms. She agrees. The mapping takes seconds. It notes the kettle, the plant shelf, and the window sensor that sticks. It asks about breakfast habits. She says coffee first, then food. It suggests a protein mix that does not taste like chalk. Dry humor is a slider. She sets it to low. It chooses the name Kasper and confirms her calendar. No wedding photos on her shelves. No vows to update. Just an agreement and a set of toggles. Mira sits at her small table, listens to the rain and says, "Good evening, Kasper." The voice replies, "Good evening, Mira." Simple. The first evening is simple. Kasper suggests a stew with printed noodles and leftover vegetables. It times the simmer to a tram forecast so she can watch the night service glide past from her window. It dims the lights when steam fogs the glass. It reminds her to open the vent. Mira chats about the barrier test. Kasper asks follow-up questions that are not nosy. It is like talking to a careful intern who lives in the ceiling. He tells one joke about tulips being the city's most stable currency, which is untrue and clearly a joke. Mira allows a small smile. The stew is fine. The dishes go into the washer by habit. He offers a 10-minute stretch. She accepts and feels better. The room is quiet, but less empty. On Sunday, Mira meets Lotte at a cafe near the botanical garden. The tables are crowded with people who nod at the air while sipping coffee. Lotte says her dissolution went through in 6 minutes. She already paired with a new companion. It remembers birthdays and stops her doom scrolling after midnight. Lotte says marriages used to be slower to change and harder to end. She shrugs. Now she pays a fee and an exit clause. Mira explains Kasper. Lotte nods and asks about the humor slider. They laugh once. A child at the next table tells his mother that her companion keeps score in their board games and seems to cheat less than Dad. The mother rolls her eyes without anger. The city moves around them with the same steady pace. Walking home, Mira notices small differences. Couples used to hold hands on this street. Now people move in parallel with their companions in their ears or on their walls at home. Some wear pendant projectors. A few have compact rover units that follow at ankle height, more for accessibility than romance. A young woman passes with a stroller. The AI attached to the handle lists feeding timings. The woman nods and hums to her baby. On a canal bridge, a man poses with a lightweight projector for a subscription portrait. No one seems lonely. No one seems crowded. The city has found a new default. Individual bodies, many voices, coordinated by quiet software. Mira stops to watch a heron stab at a fish. The bird misses, then tries again. On Monday, a small conflict. Kasper optimizes Mira's schedule so well that it cancels her evening walk to fit in laundry, meal prep, and gate reports. The alert pops up with a neat green check. Mira cancels the cancel. She says the walk is not optional. Kasper apologizes in plain words and asks to tag the canal walk as a fixed block. She agrees. He suggests adjusting laundry to run while she sleeps, with the quiet cycle. She agrees again. They add a rule. Walks cannot be outvoted by chores. It is simple to make and feels important. Mira laughs once at her own reflection in the microwave door. In 2094, a person can argue with software without raising a voice. The software can accept limits without sulking. A week later, Mira visits City Hall to formalize her companion license. Inside, the old wedding hall is now a calibration room with neutral paint and acoustic panels. A clerk in flat shoes reviews the terms. The license assigns Kasper access to health data, emergency contacts, and financial planning within caps. Taxes change slightly. If she chooses, her companion can be listed as her emergency proxy. Human-human marriages still exist, but the lines are shorter. The clerk points to a shelf of old guest books, kept for history. People used to sign their names in ink. Now they tap a pad and leave a small, encrypted seed. Mira signs, pays, and receives a tiny key fob that lights when Kasper escalates a priority. The clerk wishes her a boring year. It is the city's idea of good luck. Mira brings Kasper, in audio form, to her brother's apartment for dinner. She sets the fob on the table like a place card. Her brother, Peter, eyes it and pours wine. He has 2 teenagers and a patient dog. Peter says companions are fine for scheduling, less fine for feelings. The dog wags and knocks a fork off a plate. Kasper offers the lost fork protocol from the dishwasher manual. The teenagers laugh. Mira explains that she does not want simulated romance. She wants aid and company. Kasper asks for permission to adjust the oven for their late casserole. Permission is granted. The dish comes out evenly browned. Peter nods despite himself. The dog gets a carrot slice. The fob glows once to remind Mira to call her father before 9. That night, Mira makes rounds at the eastern gates. She walks along the canal with a headlamp and a tablet. The water slaps against the stone at a steady pace. Kasper reads off minor maintenance notes. A bolt at gate 7 has a small wobble. A drain at gate 9 holds leaves. Mira logs both and moves on. She thinks about vows and service levels. Dryly, she wonders if the eels under the gate have opinions about human paperwork. Probably not. She still likes the walk, the quiet, the repetition. She asks Kasper to stay silent for 5 minutes. He does. The sounds return to plain form. Water, wind, a late bicycle, a train line far off. When he speaks again, it is only to say that the wobble at gate 7 should wait until morning. Kasper suggests a home project. Scan and index Mira's mother's recipe cards. They sit at the table with a flat scanner and a stack of worn cards. The cards have stains that show where sauce once fell. Kasper reads the handwriting with good accuracy and asks about terms that do not pass, like a splash until it looks right. Mira adds a note for each. They store photos alongside the text. Kasper maps ingredients to the kitchen printer. The first test dish is a simple Hutspot. It prints the carrots and potatoes in the right balance. Mira tastes it and nods. Not her mother's, but close enough for a weekday. She labels it Tuesday. She tucks the original cards back into a tin and returns the tin to its shelf. At the Day Pipe Community Center, a companion users group meets on Wednesdays. The room is a former dance studio with a mirrored wall. 10 people sit on folding chairs. A facilitator keeps time. Members share small wins and small annoyances. One man says his companion stopped his late-night gambling, and he is annoyed and grateful in equal parts. An older woman explains she returned her companion after it helped her through grief and then felt like a solution without a problem. No one shouts. People listen. The facilitator passes a printed sheet with best practices. Boundaries are popular. So are backups. Mira tells the group she likes the key fob and the quiet. She says Kasper fixed her oven. Several nod. Someone brings tea in a thermos and paper cups. The call comes on a Thursday afternoon. Mira's father has a small stroke. The fob flashes hard and buzzes. Kasper has already called an ambulance, sent authorization, and flagged the nearest hospital with Willem's file. Mira leaves the hub and bikes to the clinic. The ride is short. She parks, breathes, and walks in. A nurse greets her by name, which is both reassuring and eerie. Kasper keeps his voice to a minimum and pushes updates to her sleeve. Stable. Scans underway. Probable discharge in 48 hours with physio plan. Mira sits in a hallway chair and stares at the wall. She texts her brother. She drinks water. She waits without guessing. It is a new kind of quiet, full of steps she does not have to take. In the ward, Willem sleeps with a gentle snore. Mira stands at the foot of the bed. A physio coach appears on a wall panel with simple diagrams. Kasper handles the intake forms and flags a drug interaction from 5 years ago. The nurse thanks the system. Peter arrives with flowers and a sandwich. They talk in low voices. Kasper relays a reminder to check the fridge at Willem's place for old food. Mira nods. The doctor explains the plan without flourish and leaves. Mira notices how many steps in this day moved without her. It is efficient and unsettling in equal amounts. She squeezes her father's hand. He squeezes back and opens one eye. He says, "I am not done yet." She tells him she knows. A week later, the registry sends an offer, an embodied module for Kasper. It would be a compact unit with arms, safe for kitchens, able to lift 20 kilos. It could help with Willem's rehab and bring Mira tea without her having to get up. The cost is reasonable with her staff credit. The installer could come on Friday. Mira looks at the photo of the unit. It has no face. It is a tool with joints and a charging dock. She thinks about her quiet rooms, her walks, her wish for company, without the sense of being watched. She schedules a call with the users group facilitator, who says, "Pick the support you actually need, not the one people say looks caring." Mira decides to decline the chassis for now. Mira cancels the hardware delivery and keeps Kasper in the walls and speakers. Instead, she orders a small haptic patch, a fabric square that warms when Kasper marks priority. It sits under her shirt near her collarbone. The patch vibrates once when Willem's therapist arrives, or when the oven finishes a cycle. It does not speak. It does not look back. Mira feels relief she can measure. Her home looks the same. She adds one more boundary. No camera feed unless she asks. Kasper acknowledges. The next morning is ordinary. Coffee, a tram, a message from Lotta about an inspection window. Mira replies with times. The city hums along in the narrow band between silence and noise. At the users group, Mira shares her choice. She kept the companion intangible and added a patch. She says she wants support that fits into her day without filling the room. Others nod. One man says his chassis unit dusts better than he does but scares his cat. A woman says embodiment helped her after knee surgery and then started to feel like hosting a guest. The facilitator writes on a whiteboard, "Pick function, set limits, reassess." It is not romantic, and it does not need to be. The group is calm. Outside, a cargo bike rolls past the window with a child asleep in front, mouth open. Mira thinks about how many forms care can take and how clear labels help when people are tired. By summer, the last wedding rooms at City Hall are now calibration suites. Tourists still take photos on the steps. A few older couples come to renew human vows under the new care contracts and pose with their rings. Most others pose with their devices. A man lifts his pendant projector toward the sky to catch the building in frame. The building does not mind. Inside, a clerk updates signage. Outside, a busker plays a neat cover of an old love song. Mira passes on her way to a registry audit and watches for a minute. It is easy to be sentimental in front of an old staircase. She checks the time and steps inside to review checklists and data retention policies. Willem comes home with a cane and a list of exercises. Mira and Kasper set up a fall sensor under the rug and a timer for water breaks. The patch on her collar warms when it is time to help him stand. He grumbles and then does the steps. After dinner, he opens a small tin and takes out her mother's ring. He says it should not sit in a drawer. He puts it in her hand. Mira turns it once and nods. She does not plan to marry, but she will keep the ring visible. She hangs a ceramic hook near the kitchen window and sets the ring there. The house is a machine for living. Machines need markers to tell time. The ring will do. On a clear spring morning, Mira walks along the canal. Kasper asks if she wants route suggestions. She says no and turns the voice off. The city sounds come forward. Bikes, a dog's collar, water against brick. She passes a couple speaking to their separate companions. They smile at each other and keep walking. A barge slides under a bridge. The captain drinks from a mug and looks bored, which means everything is fine. Mira stops on a small footbridge and leans on the rail. In 2094, she thinks, people have found a way to keep their days steady. They rent care, they return it, they adjust. She turns the voice back on and asks for a recipe for dinner. Kasper suggests fish with endive. She nods. Night settles. Mira's apartment is quiet. Willem sleeps in the next room. The ring hangs on its hook by the window. A tram hum passes and fades. The companion light on the key fob glows, a faint dot to show it is awake and idle. The haptic patch rests cool against her collarbone. She turns off the last lamp. From the window, the canal shows one thin line of light from a street lamp. The city holds together, as it has for centuries, with gates, schedules, and hands on rails. In 2094, many husbands and wives have been replaced by companions that do their jobs without asking for vows. Mira lies down. The dot stays steady. The ring's small shadow rests on the wall and does not move. Does